What inspired the story of The Giver for me? It's hard to think back that many years because the book is 20 years old now. But it was not inspired by any political thought. I'm not a political animal, really. It was actually inspired more by the fact that my father at that time was very old, clearly would not live much longer, and his memories were fading. And when I went to visit him, he was living some distance from me, and I would go about every 6 weeks. It became more and more apparent that he was losing memories that to me were so important. On the other hand, at the same time, I realized that he was content because he had forgotten every sad or scary thing that had ever happened to him. He'd forgotten World War II, in which he participated. He'd forgotten my sister, who had died young, his first child. And so I began to think about how important memory is. What would happen if we could manipulate human memory? And when a writer begins to think questions like that begin with what if, then a story begins to take shape. And that was the beginning of The Giver. I grew up in a place that had a lot of rules, several places, military bases around the world. And so it felt familiar to me when I began to create the world of Jonas, which is a world where people are equal, where they all live in the same kind of house, where things are made very easy for them because meals, for example, are delivered. That was not true in my childhood. My mother probably wished it had been. But they live by a lot of rules, and it makes their lives orderly, which I guess is to be desired. It makes them very content. But there's also, the more you exist in that or observe that kind of rule, you begin to realize there's something desperately lacking. Over the course of probably many generations, as the man, The Giver, says back and back and back, they have made certain decisions in order to create a stable and safe society. But in doing so, they have obliterated personal choice, individual choice. And the people have paid a terrible price for that, even though, with the exception of Jonas and The Giver, they don't realize it. But choice is gone for them. In our world, the world we live in, families are people who care deeply about each other. And that's something that you feel both in the book and in the movie is lacking in this family. They do all the things families are supposed to do, and mom and dad take care of the children as moms and dads do. But there's an emptiness there between the family members that's kind of chilling. This is a boy who perceives the hypocrisy of the governing body of his world and the adult, generation above him, and perceives something deeply evil there. I suppose that's a cautionary tale for today's kids. The boy Brenton, whom I met this summer and have seen again here, is quite remarkable. Although he's older than the boy was in the book, it seems okay because he looks and seems vulnerable and intelligent and brings all the things that the boy in the book had. The journey to film has been a very long one. And it's hard for me even to remember the beginnings of it, but I do recall that Jeff Bridges, who's now playing the role of The Giver, back and back and back, was the first one who came to me and to my agent to try to get the book to the screen. He wanted the book, as I understand it, to star his father. His father at that time, Lloyd Bridges, was a well-known actor, and Jeff Bridges was going to direct his father in this film. Well, time passed and passed and passed, and his father has long since died, and now Jeff has that role himself. So it's been many, many years.